All right, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. Welcome aboard our options basics brief, which is probably not going to be an options basics brief after our awesome accelerated retirement brief this morning. Everybody hear me loud and clear? Want to make sure. I don't know if that everybody got me. Give me a vertical head nod, a thumbs up. Thank you, Vincent. I appreciate it. All right, good stuff. Um, why an audible, man? Well, first of all, let me get a sense of where we are. Um, is how many of you are literally brand new to options, man? I don't even know how to spell the word options like my Marine buddies. Anybody who is like right off the boat new to options. Even if you are, I'm not going to leave you in the dust, but is there anybody new? Like super new. How about so I'm gonna make an assumption that you at least know what calls and puts are, right? And we're gonna delve into it real quick. Why am I making an audible? Because it's interesting. This morning, I said, you know what, kind of a coin flip here. I'm gonna let me pull up my brokerage account here. I'm gonna make an audible. We got long-term bullish on actually a nuclear power name today. But before we did that, I said, you know what? I think we should probably put on a Tredge. Now, if you and because look at what the market did today. All right, here's the opening bell, gapped up, and then we imploded as the day went on, and we regained half the implosion. Okay, um, but today I said, man, we have absolutely got to put on another Tredge. So I'm going to kind of ignore the options basics. My marketing team's like, hey, do options basics to teach calls and puts. And I'm like, well, one of the benefits of being a Top Gun Options member here is I'll do stuff like this and it's fresh to what's going on like live. If you go to some other crappy places that shall remain nameless, it's stale, it's old. Let me tell you what a call is and a put is for the 8 millionth time. Because let me show you something besides my beautiful bride, my family. Uh, Yesterday, I closed Tredges for about a $15,000 profit. What's a Tredge? So most of you, I'm going to assume all the people in the room know that when you place a trade, you want to make money. Folks, I never place a trade if I think I'm going to lose money, right? That's a trade. A hedge, some of you, if you're new to investing, hedge fund, right? What's a hedge fund? It means they should make money in any market condition. They might not be super up or super down, but it's consistent because they are hedged against potential market pullbacks. So technically, with a hedge, you don't mind losing money. Now, I'm not even going to waste 15, 20 minutes on me introducing myself. I'm just going to say I was a former Navy fighter pilot, Top Gun grad, all that stuff. And I flew with an ejection seat. I never went flying in the F-18 Hornet without an ejection seat in it, right? And every flight, nearly 3,000 hours in that aircraft, I never got out of the jet and looked at the ejection seat and said, what an absolute waste. It was stupid. I would have rather had an extra 800 pounds of gas. That was dumb. That would have been dumb. So, ladies and gentlemen, with a hedge, a pure hedge to protect my portfolio, I actually don't mind losing money on that. How many of you sit at your kitchen table every month and complain about paying your insurance bill? I don't. Why? Because I don't even know I pay an insurance bill because it's on auto debit with USAA. Auto, home, life, house. And when I need it, I go, thank God I made those insurance payments, right? So at Top Gun Options, I splice those two things. I got a trade that I'm pretty damn sure is going to make money and a hedge that is going to protect my long-term bullish positions. So, shameless plug, if you joined me a month ago for our last free full throttle training, right around here, I put on a bearish Tredge on the S&P 500, a trade that acts as a hedge. It's called a bearish double vertical. I'll get into that here in a little bit. Right here, so delete this part of the chart. It didn't exist yet. So right here in the free full throttle training, I said, folks, I've been doing this, now I'm really aging myself, for 34 years. 1991 I started. Anecdotally, I haven't done the math or you know what? I should go to ChatGPT and ask it. But let's just say anecdotally, 90% of the time, September, October, and I squeeze those together to Sept-Oct. The middle of September to the middle of October is one of the most volatile 30-day periods of the year for several reasons. One of the main reasons, you're sitting in it right now, day 14 of a government shutdown. The government funding ended on September 30th. New fiscal year starts October 1st. You can set your watch to it that it's going to be an absolute shit show. And we're in it right now. There's a host of other issues. But what I want to show you is that right around here, man, I looked out and said, I'm going to put on a Tredge. I have a lot of long-term bullish positions right now. I'll show you my personal account. Amazon, SIBO, Chicago Board Options Exchange, JP Morgan, psychedelic stocks. I have long-term bullish positions that if a shit show happens in Sept-Oct, I want to protect those things. Guess what happened? And here's why I don't touch Tredges. I let them fly. These Tredges expired. Well, they would have expired. I closed them this Friday. They went out to this Friday. And this is, at the top of my slides, you're going to see one of my saying at Top Gun Options is discipline and risk management equal superior execution. Because there were some new members who had joined last month or 2 months ago. And the S&P 500, after I put on my Tredges, did what? Started ripping, baby. And some of them who were new said, whoa, what do I do with my Tredges? I'm like, I don't know what you do with your Tredges. I'm not touching them. I put them on for a reason. The government might not, or the market might not. Here's a wizism you're going to learn. The market only cares when it cares. Well, that sounds kind of dumb. No, it's actually quite brilliant. We're going to talk about why I'm shifting to just doing basic calls and puts tonight, because we need to put on another Tredge. Why? Because if you logged in a little early and you saw the tweet I just had on my screen, did you see what the president said from the Oval Office a couple minutes ago or whenever? We are in a trade war with China now. What? I thought like back in April at the bottom of your remember back here, folks? Today is Liberation Day. I'm blasting tariffs at everybody in the world. Boom, boom, machine gun tariffs. And then what happened? The market imploded. What happened here? If you're a Democrat, you're going to say taco. Trump always chickens out. He blinked down here. I'm going to be honest with you, folks. I got this wrong. Well, I didn't get it wrong. I put on a bullish trade 5 years into the future that's up 20 grand. What did I get wrong? I trusted Trump. I trusted the Treasury Secretary. I heard them around this time say, I got a trade deal with China, just working out the details. Love Xi Jinping, got a great backswing, been to Mar-a-Lago, deals in the bag. I believed them. Well, what happened on Friday, man? I was out in Aspen for a fundraiser. What happened? Well, apparently China didn't get the memo that there was a trade deal, and they blasted a rare earth metals export ban. Boom. S&P 500 imploded 2% in the blink of an eye. Then what happened? Well, Sunday afternoon, we said that, well, the Chinese kind of softened their stance. That they misspoke a little bit. I'm like, really? What happened 2 days ago, Tuesday? Massive implosion. Back down. You see this green line? that's called the 20-day moving average, and the blue line is called the 50. So now, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to what? Volatility. Look at this. This is turning into a heart rate monitor, man, because we are like one tweet or true social post or whatever away from a massive implosion. Because look at this rip your face off rally from the April bottom. Right here in one of these free live trade briefs, I did a bullish trade on the S&P 500 5 years out into the future. It's called a bullish on America trade. For 2,500 bucks, you could potentially make over 100 grand. I think it was 99, or let me round up, 100 grand. That trade is up 20 grand since April. You're welcome. And it's most likely going to hit a max profit of 100. Would you have invested 2,500 bucks in April to make 100 grand in a couple of years in the future? The answer is yeah. That trade right now is priced at like 7,500 bucks to get into it. You're welcome. This is why you want to be a member here. But look at what we did off the bottom here. Bounce off the 20-day, bounce off the 20-day, bounce off the 20-day, bounce off the 20-day, a little through the 20-day, bounce, bounce, kiss the 20-day, bounce, smash. We are at all-time highs, ladies and gentlemen. The jobs market sucks. Inflation is elevated and stuck. What's the term, if you're new, for where we are right now? Stagflation. Jobs market sucks. Inflation's going up. And the Fed's going to cut rates next week, Wiz? They technically shouldn't, but they are going to. So, ladies and gentlemen, the reason I'm calling an audible tonight is this hasn't even started, technically. I mean, Trump's saying we're in a trade war right now. Is where you've been. Look at this headline. I briefed this today. So for all my members, I love when my members show up to these briefs. We looked at the new power bullish trade for AI. I should have led today with the Tredge, man, but so we're going to do it tonight. But let's start. If you're new to Top Gun Options, you should have, when you registered for this webinar, gotten a copy of our trade plan. It's a 7-step trade plan. I'm a fighter pilot. I'm an aviator. I'm an options trader. I don't do anything without a plan, man. Before we get into any trade tonight, the market's closed, but I'll show you a potential trade. I know when I'm getting out, right? General Colin Powell, ordered by President Bush the first, get Iraq out of Kuwait. Yes, sir. Wait, Mr. President, before you leave, what's victory look like? When is it over? Colin Powell was a young, first lieutenant, second lieutenant in Vietnam. He saw a shit show. So he's like, before we get into anything, Mr. President, when are we leaving? Same thing with trading. You need a disciplined trading plan, 7-step trade plan. I already gave it to you. If you don't have it, I can give it to you. But here's what I'm doing. I'm going right to step 3 right now, which is, what is my commit criteria? Why would I be committing capital to a bearish trade right now? Okay, let me give you my commit criteria. Here's the first one. Look at this headline. China, betting it can win a trade war, is playing hardball with Trump. Whoa. Chinese leader Xi Jinping thinks the president will fold before launching new tariffs that would do what? Roil markets. Ladies and gentlemen, the Chinese, they watched what happened back here. Ladies and gentlemen, at this April bottom, the bond market was broken above 5, wasn't it? The bond market broke, and Bessent, Treasury Secretary Bessent, who was a hedge fund manager, went into the Oval Office like, our words aren't working. The bond market is broken. We could be in a lot of trouble. Breaking news, I got trade deals with everybody, trade deals with all my friends. It's just the details we got to work out. The market heard that and never looked back. Okay. So now, and if this is your first time at Top Gun Options, my motto at Top Gun Options is what? Trading is combat. Trading is a form of combat. Somebody's going to win. Somebody's going to get their ass kicked. Which one do you want to be? So, and we all know, or you should know, that Donald Trump watches TV, watches the news, he reads Wall Street Journal. This headline is infuriating to Trump. How dare you think you can out negotiate, maneuver me? So, ladies and gentlemen, you can focus on the AI this and all the Fed meeting next week and everything like that. This is the gorilla in the room, and it's really not being talked about anymore. Okay, so I am. This is like a month ago when I placed the bearish Tredge. People are like, "Nah, man, the market's going to keep going up." I'm like, "Well, great. My bullish long-term positions will print money." Getting a little nervous, man. I need an injection seat, and it made 15 grand. It made a lifetime membership with 2 trades. It paid for a lifetime membership with just those 2 bearish trades. So, folks, this is bad. Let me just read the first sentence. You ready for this? In its trade standoff with Washington, Beijing thinks it found America's Achilles heel, President Trump's fixation on the stock market. They know what button to push on Trump to get what they want. Is he going to taco or is he going to fight? Now, they're supposed to be meeting in a couple weeks. I can be completely wrong. They're going to meet in person. They're going to backslap each other, shake hands, and we're going to figure something out. Maybe. I mean, Trump down here said what about it? He said, Xi's a great guy, but, he gets a little testy sometimes. There it is right here. I have a great relationship with Xi, before quickly adding, but sometimes he gets testy. So, folks, this is the 2 guys in the world, doing the, mine's bigger than yours type of thing, folks. We are not in a good place right now. I will tell you, I was in the South Bend Airport. I flew into South Bend, drove up to St. Joe's to give a keynote at Whirlpool. I remember driving back and waiting for my flight on a Sunday when the news broke that Steve Mnuchin, the Treasury Secretary under Trump the first, and Ambassador Lighthizer, the trade rep, they were in China. Trump sent them there to, like, no kidding, seal the deal. We're done. We just need to figure out what the salad dressing is at the luncheon. They called him up and said, Mr. President, they're not going to do the deal. What? They got this right. They think Joe Biden's going to win and they'll get better terms. He said, get on the airplane right now and get home. We're done. What happened when the market opened the next morning? I think it was down 2,000 points or something like this. So I reserve the right to be 100% completely wrong. You're going to meet in a couple weeks, get a deal. Everything's great, Wiz. That's a possibility. Is it probable? No. And I think Xi ain't. And remember, folks, let me give you one more thing. We're going to go look at the trade. I told my Top Gun Options members 3 years ago, somebody can Google it and figure out the exact date. That dude once a year jumps into his Mao outfit. He wears the full green and talks to the PLA, the People's Liberation Army. 4 years ago, he gave a speech. He gave a date. He looked at all the generals and the admirals and the PLA and said, you will be ready to invade Taiwan by 2027. Folks, the clock's ticking. If you're a Top Gun Options member, you know that I briefed this. They're building these massive amphibious landing ships. They are. So does Xi Jinping use Taiwan as leverage against Trump? So enough. First of all, in a real live trade brief, that commit criteria would have taken about 3 minutes, not 10 minutes so far. But I'm walking you and building a court case right here. Let me point this out. If you're new to options, you can be in a live trade brief with me and go, oh, that was interesting, Wiz. I think the exact opposite is going to happen. Guess what you can do in the world of options? Do the exact opposite trade of what I do. Isn't that awesome? Wiz, you're doing a bearish double vertical. I think they shake hands, enjoy the salad dressing. They get a trade deal. Market's going to rip. You would do the exact opposite of what I'm going to show you. I don't think that's going to happen. As a matter of fact, how do you think the market's going to react to something like breaking news? Trump and Xi just walked away from each other. I mean, hell, that happened in Alaska with Putin. Trump flew a B-2 over with some F-22s and F-35s and big show of force. And Putin said, yeah, no, I'm still going to go blow up Ukraine. So I need, you don't necessarily need it. I do. I need a Tredge. I got long-term bullish positions that need protection. This is also a blinding wizism. You can't make money if you're losing money. Step one needs to protect what you have. I have a tie. I got a nuke name. I got Amazon. I got Cybin. I got MindMed. I got JP Morgan. I need to protect these names, okay? So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to bring up the options chain. And some of you who are kind of trade right now, maybe are probably looking at this going, why does he trade SPX? So SPX, ladies and gentlemen, is the S&P 500. How many names are in the S&P 500? It's like that Bugs Bunny cartoon. Who's buried in Grant's tomb? The S&P 500 has 500 massive names in it. The top 7 that are powering the AI rally are in the S&P 500. I do not trade SPY. Well, Wiz, that's the Spider ETF. It's like really super popular, ladies and gentlemen, for a couple reasons. And the first reason I'm going to give you could more or less pay for your membership for a year. Me, get better tax treatment trading the index over the ETF. Write that down, Google it, ChatGPT it, call your broker. Hey, man, I usually trade SPY, but I hear SPX can give me better tax treatment, and you will get an awesome answer. I'm not a tax accountant. I'm not your tax attorney. I'm not your CPA. I don't play one on TV. But between us ladies, don't ever trade. If you can trade an index over an ETF, you trade the index. It's better tax treatment. The second reason I trade SPX over SPY is that SPX settles in cash. You can't get assigned. So if you're new to options trading, let me remind you, let's just pull up Amazon real quick. For all if you didn't want to raise your hand and to buy 100, what's up with my speaker here? If you wanted to buy, let me make sure. Yeah, my mic's working. If you wanted to buy 100 shares of Amazon today, okay, I got it, man. If you wanted to buy 100 shares of Amazon today at the closing bell, you would need $21,500. Everybody's got that laying around, right? Go look in your couch. Well, if you don't have 21,000, let's just round up. You don't have 22 grand to go buy 100 shares of Amazon. What could you do? Well, I'm going to hop in my time machine. I'm going to fly all the way out to January of 2028. You can go to, what's that, 2.5 years into the future, right? So one options contract equals 100 shares of stock. Why would you spend $22,000 when you can, what's Amazon at? It closed at 215. So look down here. There's a 210 strike and a 220 strike. There's no 215, okay? Tie goes to the runner. We'll go a little bit more what's called in the money. So I could buy one contract of Amazon at the 210 strike, and it cost me $5,500. I just saved you $17,000. There isn't a single person in this room that can tell me why it's more advantageous to buy the stock than it is to buy the call option. You can't. And don't even start typing, well, you don't get a dividend. Do you not know Jeff Bezos? The guy doesn't even know what the word dividend means. If Amazon makes $1 in profit, he takes the dollar and goes and puts a competitor out of business, buys a new airplane, buys a new AWS server. They don't have dividends. They probably never will. They put the money back into the company. Okay? There is no reason to spend 22 grand when you could spend 5,500. Okay? I'm not done yet. When you buy a call option, you should know this, you're bullish. Wiz, I control 100 shares of Amazon stock for the next 2.5 years. I'm bullish. I bought a call option. Yeah. Well, guess what? Somebody had to sell you that. I don't think Amazon's going to zero in the next 2.5 years. Wiz, I'll sell you that 210 call. Buying a call, bullish. Selling you that call, bearish. Okay? There's your options basics. Now let me switch to puts. Most of you, if you're new to options trading, you have at least heard this. Uh-oh, the market's going to implode. I should buy some puts. That's the most basic thing ever. I'm going to buy some puts. They're insurance in case something goes down. You're right. If something crashes, goes down, you have the right to put the stock to somebody who sold you that put. So buying a put is what? I think it's going to go down. Bearish. Somebody sold you that put. It's the insurance company. Is bullish. We'll sell you that put. We don't think Amazon's going to implode. So selling a put is bullish. So watch this. Why don't we sell a Jan 28, the same expiration, put at 210? What did that just do? 2250. Ladies and gentlemen, I saved you $20,000 on controlling 100 shares of Amazon. What's the average holding time? Most people, when they buy a stock, I'm buying 100 shares of Amazon today and wasting 22 grand. They're probably going to hold it for a year or two. We're going out even further, usually longer, 2.5 years than somebody holding a stock. One more time, folks. There is not one person in this room. Well, maybe you're just weird. Maybe you're just like, I'd rather spend $22,500 than $2,200. Then I'm probably not the instructor for you because that makes zero sense. You can take that 20 grand and go deploy it into other assets and do other things. Okay. This tactic technically is called synthetic stock. We're kind of long the stock, but we don't own the shares. And one of the things you don't get with synthetic stock, I already told you, you don't get a dividend. Amazon doesn't have a dividend. Who cares? The other thing, since you don't own the stock, the shares, is you don't get to vote. Last time I checked, Jeff Bezos and his ex-wife probably own 1 or 2 more shares than you'll ever own in your life. I think she just dumped like 1 billion shares of Amazon the other day. I don't think you have 1 billion shares. So you don't get a dividend. You don't get the vote. Nobody cares about that. Do this tactic called synthetic stock. That's as basic. And let me show you the P&L diagram. That's long stock, as if you bought the 100 shares with the green and red right there. This is the synthetic stock. It's the exact same risk profile. Now, the smart people in this brief immediately looked at max potential loss. Holy shit, Wiz, you're risking the same, a little bit more due to the put, but don't worry about that. You're essentially risking the same as if you bought 100 shares of the stock. It's the same risk. What's the risk between now and January 28, or the risk if you bought 100 shares of Amazon today? What's the worst thing that can happen? It can go to zero. Exactly. But I'll teach you, and I don't want to spend too much more time on this because I want to get to our Tredge, that at Top Gun Options, we buy what I call a disaster put. What's a disaster? Well, if you watch CNBC, a year or two ago under Joe Biden, the S&P 500 is down 20%. We are in a bear market. Breaking news, Peloton's down 20%. It's in a bear market. So I use, again, political science major from South Jersey. I'm a pilot. I need basic math. Why don't we buy what I call a disaster put 20% under the current stock price? What is that, 180-ish or something like that? Close enough for government work, 180, 185. If somebody wants to do the exact math, you can, but don't hold me to it. So now what happened? Well, the risk went up a little. The cost went up a little bit. Why? You're buying the put. 110, is it? No. 40, 20, 10% of that 2020. It's 180, man. Don't freak me out. 170. Thank you, Ben. Okay, it's 170. Do I trust you since you got the initial one wrong? That's all right, Ben. So, ladies and gentlemen, now we're coming out of pocket $4,000, which is still better than the 5,500 or the, what was it, 22, 23 grand. But look at what, so my call sign's Wiz, not because I'm a wizard, but check out the magic I just did. What is our max potential loss with a protective put, a disaster put? $8,000. So one more time, I'm going to ask a rhetorical question. Why would you spend 23 grand and have your max potential loss 23 grand to buy 100 shares? Why wouldn't you do the synthetic stock position? And remember, folks, if you're in a margin account, you don't need the 8 grand in your account. I think the margin requirement for this would be whatever. You might need like 2 or 3 grand in your account. It depends on your broker and your margin requirements and stuff like that. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is called synthetic stock. This is a basic options tactic, not a strategy. Okay. I don't want to get too cosmic, but I could sell a call against this name out the Friday to bring in a little cash every week. I can help you pay for this trade every week by selling some calls against it. You bring in a little cash. You can see already, well, let's sell like the 217.5. Ladies and gentlemen, if I sell 1 October, a Friday expiration, 217.5 call, I bring in $162 right in the middle here. You just help me pay for this trade a little bit, Wiz. Every week, I'm going to help you pay for that trade. Eventually, this trade will be free. Tell me how you're going to pay for the 22,500 grand, 22.5 to buy the 100 shares. Ladies and gentlemen, this is called synthetic stock. Tonight, I'm going to show you how you can join our most basic entryway service. It's actually called Solo Amazon. We just focus on Amazon. And you're going to get access to 8 training sessions. I think synthetic stock is like session 6. I take an hour to an hour and a half to do that tactic. Today, I did it in like 15 minutes. In a live trade brief, it's even quicker. Why? Because you should have watched your synthetic stock training and be up to speed. Now I'm going to shift. That's, you know what I did? I'm doing 2 things. I did the options basics brief. That was about as basic as I'm going to get tonight because I got a Tredge, baby. And I told my members, I'm like, when I ended today's brief, as the market imploded, I'm like, man, maybe I'll send out a Tredge later. And I said, you know what? I'll do it tonight. So here we go. Let's go look at the S&P 500. And remember, ladies and gentlemen, where do we make money? Here. We make money off the right side of the chart in the white. Nobody in this room trades with a broker that lets you make money off the left side of a chart. That's why technical analysis is like, we used to burn witches too. Tell me what the right side of the chart looks like, dude. I can figure out the left side of the chart. Can't make money off the left side of the chart. So our job is to project our thoughts forward in space and time so we can place trades today and make money. So right now, we're in the chop. Trade war on. No, they made a mistake. We didn't make a mistake, and everything's fine. And then Trump in the Oval Office hour or 2 ago said, we're in a trade war with China officially now. Whoa, what are the futures doing? I didn't even look. What's the, did the futures react to we're in a trade war? Nah, little changed. Doesn't matter. They're mixed. So the futures are mixed right now, man. I mean, we kind of filled the gap on the market today. I think we're heading lower. I think, and let me teach you this real quick. That green line is the 20-day moving average. The blue is the 50. There's no life in here. What do I mean by that? This is trench warfare. I used to say World War I. Now I just say Ukraine and Russia. These are magnets. The S&P 500 either gets pulled down to the next one or snaps back up to it. Do you see that? It's programmed, folks. It's in AI and black box trading. Uh-oh, get me back up to the next moving average or down to it. So you see this? This is why we're seeing a lot of violence going on right now. Treasury Secretary Bessent was not mixing words today with China and like, well, we're in it to win it too. Holy crap. So I'm a little shocked that the futures aren't reflecting that. But guess what? You know how many times I've done that? Like, am I the one not seeing this? And then boom, I'm like, okay, great. Kind of like the Tredges on the screen that I showed you that made 15 grand. As people were like, should I get out of these? I'm like, I'm not. I don't know what you should do. Slam. I got so many emails like from, should have listened to you. I'm like, I got some gray in my beard because I've been doing this for a long time, folks. The second you take off a Tredge, the trading god sees that and goes, that's awesome. Slam. And that's your fault. All right, so here we go. I'm just looking at some numbers here. Where's my pad? 66. What's that? 65.51. 65.50 is the 50 for right now. I'm gonna go out a month. Why'd you pick a month, Wiz? Because I just picked a month. I want to give this trade about 30 days to work. What's that? November 15th. We should have a government opening. If we're still closed, there's no 15th, I'll go 14th. Folks, you know as much as I do. They voted again. It's not open. We could still be in a month from now in a government shutdown. I doubt it. But I think that's already priced in, folks. We all know, sadly, even though we wouldn't mind the government staying shut down forever, except if you're in the Marine Corps or the military or air traffic control, really hasn't impacted my life. I really don't care. But I care for my troops. So, but still, I want to give this time to work. If we're going to slam, the market's going to care more about a trade war, like serious trade war, than the government reopening. We all knew that was going to happen. So I think it's baked in there already. Okay. Another potential threat to this bearish trade is what I said earlier. Great meeting with Xi. Love the guy. We signed it. Rally on. Well, I have enough bullish positions on where rally on is going to be awesome. I'll make money in those positions. Remember with a Tredge, folks, I just really don't care if it goes out worthless. I slept better at night. If you have any trades on, or if you're the type of trader that lies in bed or investor at night staring at the ceiling like, I hope that doesn't happen, you're an idiot. Plan on that happening. Before I walked to my fighter jet, man, on every mission, I said, what could realistically go wrong during this flight that I could talk about right now in the air conditioning, sipping on my venti upside down caramel macchiato? That's when I did it, not when it actually happened. So there's the discussion on why out a month. You can go wherever you want. Now, I'm going to use the options market right now to start picking some strikes. I just looked at the chart. But if I have, the S&P closed right around 66.70. So here's the 66.70 strike right here. If I had no idea what the market's going to do in a month, what could I do? I could buy the 66.70 call. Well, what if it implodes? I could sell the 66.70 put, right? Let me just, I'll instead of calculating it like that, it's called the straddle. And again, I can teach you this eventually. Let me go out to November 14th. This is the options market showing me a potential range by this date, November 14th. Okay, you see that? So, wait, the prices went away. Sorry. 66.70. For whatever reason it does this. I got to scroll all the way up to 66.70. What we're going to look at is something called the at the money straddle. It's going to give me an Elizabeth Warren TP, a prediction of where the market's going to be trading between. Thank you. 200, let's just round down. It's $250. You double that. So the at the money straddle is $500 wide. Let's write this down. The bottom, they're saying, look at this. And with a 70% probability, you see this TP, the Elizabeth Warren TP here? The right side of the TP, that dotted line right there is the S&P 500 at the close. with a 70% certainty based on today's closing price of these options, it's going to stay below 69.25 and above 60. I use 25s for a reason. 64.25. So let's go chart that out real quick. What was the bottom? 64.25. Wow. That's down here. And that was some chop right there, right? Resistance, went through it. So that's 64.25. So out here, the top was 69.25, which obviously is off the chart. It would be an all-time high in the S&P 500. So that's a $500 wide options pricing is saying with a high degree of certainty, we're going to stay in between those two prices. That'll change tomorrow. That'll change the next day. That's why it's called the at the money straddle. Tomorrow when S&P opens, that's going to move around a little bit. I'll look at it again tomorrow. But this is giving me, we're doing a funnel right now. I've looked at the chart. I've looked at the at the money straddle. Now I'm going to start digging some more here. So let's put a roof on it, right? If I think the trade war, Trump said it, not me. Trump says we're officially in a trade war with China. Let's put the roof on it first, meaning I don't think the S&P 500 is going to rip in the next month. I can be wrong, but I gave you my commit criteria. So why don't we start with the roof? The roof is on fire. 69.25. I'll start with putting a roof on it. What do I mean by that? I'm going to look at selling a call all the way up there at 69.25. Keep scrolling, keep scrolling, keep scrolling, 69.25. Now, obviously, I'm going to buy an upside call against that because I'm not selling a naked call. This is actually pretty damn close for me. I like this trade. I'd sell one November 14, 69.25 call. That's the roof. But in case I'm wrong, Wiz, it just kept ripping. Well, I'm going to buy an upside call as protection. This tactic is called a bear call spread. It's also called what? A credit spread. I'm being paid to put a roof on the market out a month into the future. Okay. Now, you're going to learn at Top Gun Options when you join in a little bit. When I click this snapshot analysis, the only place you're going to look is the sad face. You ready? 3, 2, 1. Sad face. Max potential loss. Well, I look here first. That's because you're an idiot. Do not ever look at max profit first. Years ago, I reached out to John and Pete Najarian to move these two. You have to look here first. Are you okay with losing $385? God, no. But I want to make 115. Well, that's dumb. Do not look there first. You're what I call the tick, the trader in command. In aviation, it's called what? The PIC. The pilot in command. You're the tick. You're the trader in command. You got to come down here and go, check. Wiz, I acknowledge my risk. $385. I am not happy if I lose that. And we're going to talk about where you might eject out of this trade so you don't take the max loss. But you have to acknowledge it. Once you put a little check mark there, now bring your eyes up here and go. Okay, max potential profit. Using at the money volatility in the options when the market closed at 4, there's an 83% probability of making the max profit. I don't mind this trade right now, but you're going to learn from me when I teach you in my S&P 500 trading that the S&P 500 moves in what? You see each one of these lines? That's not E-Trade. That's me dropping those lines in here. SPX moves in $25 increments. You see all this? You see how they act as magnets? The S&P moves in $25. Gap down to a 25, up to this 25, hover, up to that one, fail, up to the next one, hover, 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 down it moves in 25s. Been doing it for 35 years, trust me, 34. So I'm going to get 69.25, 69.30 bear call spread. I love it. How about the 6,900 since Wiz says it likes 25s? Well, actually, it went to $10 strikes. I don't like that, but let's go take a look at the risk. And you know what? That's okay. I usually like $5 wide strikes, but again, out into the future, since it's at all-time highs, they haven't come out with the $5 strikes yet. It's still at $10. So this is, I like this one more than the first one I covered. The first one I covered, folks, would be and I do this in the live trade briefs, would be more conservative. I also do this. This would be the more aggressive. So I talk to both groups of traders, man. For the conservative folks in the room, 69.25, 69.30. For the folks who fangs out of their oxygen mask, want to do some dog fighting, 6,900, 69.10. You're bringing in a credit of, you're getting paid $255 to do this trade. And guys and gals, I got to be honest with you, man. Me, as your flight instructor, I'd be doing this, a trade like that, man. Now it's back to $5 strikes under. I don't want to confuse people. The S&P pricing on this one is weird. I love this trade too. Let's go middle of the road. I'm just going to stick with the 6,900. 6,900, 69.10 bear call spread. Ladies and gentlemen, that is the roof. I want you to write down 510. I don't use an Excel sheet. I don't use a Word document. I don't use all these crazy trade file. I use like kneeboard cards, man. Why? Because when I click this pen and write down for this bear call spread out into the future, I keep track of my trades on a kneeboard card, man, just like in the cockpit. I write down, maybe eject 510. What's 510? Double this credit you take in. You want the credit, man, by expiration. You want all of it. Pigs get slaughtered. We'll talk about that in a second. If the S&P starts ripping higher, that credit's going to start increasing, which is a bad thing. So I use basic pilot math. Double the credit I take in, 510. That's a warning light in my cockpit that says, hey, man, S&P's ripping higher. You wrote down 2 weeks ago that you'd maybe eject if it got up to 510. We're at 510. What do you want to do? Notice that I didn't say write down, definitely eject. Ain't no definitely eject at all. This is as I told you, contingency plan. We didn't even place the trade yet, folks, and I'm talking about when I might eject to avoid the max loss. Understood? Haven't even placed the trade yet. We know when we might eject to avoid that max loss. Now, let's talk about potential good. 255, 7, 8, 9. If I'm looking at a 70, 80, or 90% profit of this, close it. Why? Because, folks, do not turn a 70, 80, 90% winning trade into a 100% loser. If you do not do this, you one day will do this. I guarantee you. How many times have I heard horror stories of like, I'm up 85% in this bear call spread right now, but I want the extra, $100 in this trade. And then you go golfing or something. And then that Friday, breaking news, Jesus, Ganesh, and Buddha came back to life, and they're running the United States, and the S&P 500 is up 1 trillion%. You're cooked. You're done. You turned a 70, 80, 90% winning trade into a 100% loser. Don't do it. We haven't even placed the trade, and I said, this is when I might eject. This is where I take profit. Does everybody understand that? 7, 8, 9. Pigs get slaughtered. Awesome, Vincent. Now, we put the roof on. Let's go show the chart here. I just installed a roof and got paid to do it. Cash money. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to take some of that cash money and I'm going to buy a basement. I'm cheap. I'm going to have somebody fund the bear put spread. Now, real quick, let me say a couple things. First of all, you could do nothing, eat popcorn and watch what happens in the next 30 days with the trade war. Or you could go, I like the roof idea, Wiz. We're at all-time highs. Vol's back into the market. People are getting a little skittish. I'll just put the roof on. That could be just your trade right there. Remember, folks, no trade's a trade. I'm going to eat popcorn, Wiz, and watch. Great. Nah, I'm just going to do the bear call spread. Also great. Or, you know what, Wiz? I think you're right. Xi Jinping knows Donald Trump is going to taco, and he's going to squeeze him for the best deal possible. And Trump ain't going to like it, and they're going to fight. Then you would do the basement too. Let's go cover the basement. Okay. What did I say? Where's my 64.25 was the downside here. I told you the market likes 25. So maybe a 64.75, 60. I mean, that'd be significant. I'm spitballing here. Let's go look at a 64. Let's go buy at option put. Let's go buy a 60. I said 64.75. Feel like I'm on the Price is Right when they spin that wheel. So like, all right, 64.75. Okay. Wow, man, dude, that got really expensive. Buying that 64.75 put, man, it's like $6,000 for the trade now. I'm not done. But why is divorce expensive? It's worth it. Why is that put $6,400? Because somebody on the other side of that's like, the freaking market's going to implode, man. That 64.75 put, it's going to cost you because we're going to implode. Let's sell a lower strike put, $25 underneath it, this 64.50. So get rid of the $6,000 out of your brain right now. I'm doing a wizard move here. Where's that 64.50? Put. Oh, okay. All right. Whew. You're spending now. It's a little bit of a debit spread. You're spending $175. That's the most. Let's go look. This trade, you're risking $1,200 total to potentially make $2,300. Now let's look at the picture real quick. Bear call spread, the roof financing the bear put spread. Bearish double vertical. That's what this tactic is called. I'm bearish, and I got two vertical spreads on top of each other. Bearish double vertical. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this is just a single contract. One contract. You're spending $175 to protect your portfolio against a trade war or whatever else bad could happen out there. It's costing you $1,200 to potentially make $2,400. Well, Wiz, how'd you make 15 and stuff like that? Well, I always in the brief show one contract because people, dude, I'm trading a $3,000 portfolio. I'm trading a $100,000 or $1 million portfolio. We have everybody here. So I like to just show one contract. So what you do on your side of the computer in your bunny slippers is up to you. But we could start doing something like this. Maybe we do 5 contracts up in the bear call spread. Okay. And this is what I do, man. I'm playing here. Well, shit. Now it's a credit spread. Now I'm making money. I'm bringing in $845. Well, we got to look at the risk. Well, that's because you're risking $4,000 to potentially make $3,300. All right. Well, maybe not that. How about, or if we do something like that, how about 3 contracts down here and the debit spread? Okay. Well, this one I'm spending $15. I'm risking 5 to make $7,500. So just so you know, and you'll learn this when I tell you how to join here in a couple minutes, I manage a model portfolio based on a $100,000 account. My SOP, standard operating procedure, or ROE, rule of engagement, is I don't want to risk more than 5% of the model portfolio on any individual trade. Why? Because that's my SOP. In a volatile market, I usually throttle that back to 2.5% or $2,500. Okay. We're starting to enter a volatile market, so I'm okay with the 5. But I just wanted to, you're going to learn all this stuff when I teach you my SOP. You take my SOP and go, I don't like that. I don't like the word puppy. I like the word small dog. You make your stuff yours. But you could play with this trade. I don't know, 3 contracts up here and 2 down here. And again, you just play with it. This one, I'm spending $95. Risking, ooh, that's a good looking trade. Risking 3 to make $4,900. Okay. And folks, how do you lose? The market just rips. If the market just rips, I didn't lose. Well, you lost money on this trade. How's my Amazon, JP Morgan, SIBO, Atai? How are my longs? Oh, they're ripping. Exactly. Ladies and gentlemen, if you, on one of these days, folks, if your, what was this, Friday? If your account was blindingly red, you looked at your brokerage account on Friday and it was ugly red, you're doing it wrong. On a blindingly red day, you should, it's a little Christmas tree. You should have a blindingly green position. That's your Tredge. Same thing on a rip your face off rally day. You should have a red. That would be your Tredge. And again, I don't sit at this desk and mumble to myself about how I hate writing a check to USAA. I'm glad when my son gets rear-ended in Boca by a blue hair that we have insurance. Does everybody understand that? So folks, one more time, I'm going to show you the 9-month chart here. Let's start with 6-month. Bouncing off the 20, bouncing off the 20, bouncing off the 20. Everything's great. Everything's great. No trade wars. Okay, we're at record highs. And Xi Jinping said we're in a trade war. So did Trump. Did you see Jamie Dimon yesterday, the CEO of JP Morgan? What did he say? We are not comfortable buying stocks up at these levels. Hint, that's also what they're telling their private wealth clients, we're way over our ski tips up here. We haven't had a trip down here, folks, to the 200-day moving average in way too long. Let's open up the chart to a 2-year chart and see if we got down into the spaghetti. Oh, yeah. Well, that's the Liberation Day tariffs. But we used to have volatility, folks. Look at this. These things. Look at, I remember that. And then obviously Liberation Day tariffs. But folks, this monster rally, it does not look like that. And it should. Okay, I'm wasting time right now mumbling through more of my commit criteria. Here's what I'm going to show you right now, though. I'm going to take a screenshot of this, and you're going to see the power. Let me just go back to one contract of this fully operational Death Star. I'm going to grab a screenshot of both of these trades. I'm going to show you how you don't need to be in a live trade brief. When you join tonight, you're going to download our Top Gun Options app, and you can be sitting in death by meeting. Hey, Wiz is having a Top Gun Options brief. I got a meeting with the boss. Well, my phone just buzzed. Oh, he's got a trade. So grab a screenshot of that. I'm going to grab a screenshot of this. This bearish Tredge is covered in what I'm going to show you in a second here called Options Weapons School. You're going to get access. You can go watch. Again, I kind of went fast through that. And if you're new to options, folks, and you kind of followed me, welcome aboard. You're going to have an 1.5-hour training session on that tactic right there. You could pause it, take notes, rewind it. What do you say here? You're going to do that. All right, so this is our hunters. This is an investment club. We have 285 members in here. Solo Amazon, I can tell you how to join that tonight. We have 641 members in here. And then this is our lifetime group. This is our most elite 218 members, our most elite team. But I'm gonna send this out right now in the hunters. New Nove SPX bearish Tredge. And I at everyone. So everybody gets a buzz on their app and an email. As briefed this morning, I wanted to add a new Tredge after closing the very profitable Oct 25 Tredges. Knocked this trade out in the free brief tonight. I gave a lot of shit away. You guys are welcome. So now I go get the image from my desktop. There's the trade. In the old days, man, we just had text alerts. It was like a line. It was the actual trade, like buy, sell this. Now you get the damn image, man. Look at technology. Oops, wrong thread. I need to put it in the trade alerts thread. We have two threads. We got trade alerts and we have intel and commentary where we post what? Intel and look at me. Guess I should have led with a new SPX Tredge this morning as the market was imploding. Need to follow my instincts. A lot of good intel posted in here throughout the day. Other members are in here posting their intel and stuff like that. Let me give this to the lifetime members before I forget. But I'm going to copy and paste what I just wrote. So I have to type all that again. Right there. Copy to the lifetime group. My most elite team. New Nov Tredge. Already got it. Got the language there. Okay. So I'm going to show you folks, if you're new to Top Gun options or new to trading or anything like that, it's time to join, right? Underneath learning, let's go down to Options Weapons School, OWS, ladies and gentlemen. This is the flight training, man. You get 3 manuals, primary, intermediate, and advanced manual, and you get 8 training sessions, folks. Right here, you can click download now to get your manuals, primary, intermediate, advanced workbook. There's your trade plan. There's a 1-page trade plan. There's an SOP, standard operating procedure. Let's go back to the training though. These, go to Kinko's, print these things out, man. These are all, I reread these things. If I need to brush up on some volatility or something like that. But click right here, start watching. If you're new to options trading, folks, guess what? Options Weapons School Session 1. Where does Wiz gather his intelligence? Tell me about stocks and options. Brief me on your trade plan. Done session 1. Session 2, Options Weapons School 2, Options Basics, calls and puts. I'm not going to read all these. Folks, all the way down to Options Weapons School Session 9, how to manage my S&P 500, what I call sniper shots. How many of you would have loved to have made $1,000 in about an hour today? I did, and a lot of our TGO members did. I mean, men lie, trades don't. Trade alerts. Let me scroll down right here. New S&P 500 bear call spread. In, out. 60%, $1,000. I shoot these a couple times a day, man. There are weeks, $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 just in S&P 500 trades. That's its own separate thing, man. But just know you could have made $1,000 in an hour or two today on it ain't rocket surgery, man. It moves to 25s, and it's so that's session 9 is what I'm getting at here. Okay, so exactly what I need. Thank you for me. Awesome, Kat. That makes my heart smile. I loved hearing that. So here's what I'm going to do. First of all, if you came in late or you want to watch this again, this is the replay page. All the folks who came in late, that's the replay. God, I love God. God is awesome because the last time I did a free brief, guess what it was? Bearish on S&P 500, government shutdown inbound. I did this brief back here. Well, you know when I did this brief. Look at the trade. Government shutdown, bearish S&P 500, double vertical. If you did the trades as I covered them, you made $15,000. Nailed it. So I'm glad God made the replay page me not change it yet. Obviously, you can go watch it. Go watch that one if you're that bored. The new one's going to be up after I stand up, stretch, eat, and watch the Panthers for a little bit. Takes about 20 minutes to put the video on this page. So it's right there. You can join down here. Just scroll down. Everything's on here, okay? Let me give you a choice, though. On this page is to join Full Throttle. Access to that the app, the Hunters Investment Club, the full Monty here, man. It's $295 a month. Everybody and my mother ends up in the annual. It's cheaper to do the annual. $29.95, folks. I made $1,000 today and didn't even break a sweat. I can pay for that annual probably in a couple days of trading. So 99.9% of the people here at Top Gun Options are in the annual. Or Wiz, I need to kick the tires, man. First time meeting you. Great brief. $295 a month. Okay. For $295 a month, you do not get access to the Hunters. You're not paying for it. You're on the tie. That's our trial. It's $295 a month to kind of keep what I had tonight going along here. Well, Wiz, I want a trial, but I want access to that Hunters thing too. It's $497 a month. Okay. I just paid with one trade today. I just showed you live for 2 months of your a trial into the Hunters. It's $497 a month. I made $1,000 on an S&P 500 trade as I was sitting here debating on what brief to do tonight. This is why this is a 50% discount. As a businessman, I want you to be in the Hunters monthly for a year. It makes me a shitload of money. I'm not that guy. Get a 50% discount and do the annual. Okay. So on the replay page here is how you buy everything. Scroll down. Let's say you love what I'm doing. Thank you. But I'm just super not ready. We have solo Amazon. Sorry, didn't mean to click on that. It's only, I don't drink anymore, folks. Thank you, psychedelic assisted therapy. I used to say it's a crappy bottle of wine. It's $97 a month. We do a solo Amazon live trade brief every Monday morning at 10. This is our gateway drug. It's $97 a month. You get a live trade brief Monday morning at 10 a.m. And we just focus on Amazon. You can just focus on one name and learning how to trade options, okay? You get the trade alerts, you get the manuals and everything like that. What you don't get for $97 a month is that options weapon school training. It ain't free, man. It's only $295. So I guess this ultimately is the trial. Okay. Guess what happens? 99.9% of the people who start with a monthly membership upgrade pretty damn close in a month or two and go, why am I spending $97 a month when I could save money and do the annual? So either the full throttle annual, folks, or the solo Amazon annual saves you money over doing the monthly. That's common sense, but I offer both. I personally want you in the monthly for the rest of your life, but that's not me. I'm a good dude. Do the annual. It's cheaper and better for you. So I guess solo Amazon is the ultimate trial. Now, before you even ask, I'm going to tell you, they're not the same. This is the gateway entry drug service. It's not full throttle. That's separate. So we will just be focusing on Amazon in this brief, not the S&P 500, not my psychedelic names, not JP Morgan, not SIBO, not the AI names that we looked at today. That's all full throttle stuff, folks. Okay. Any questions on that? You might have questions. Read the pages. It kind of breaks everything down. One more time. Well, the full throttle stuff is on the replay page, obviously, but you can get to it on our main page here too. $295 is the trial, is the kind of tire kicker, but you do not get access to the Hunters, right? The Hunters is right there. I actually have notifications right there. Oh, that was me. There's my trade alert. I'm like, somebody just posted in the Hunters. I did. I just sent out that trade alert. Okay. It's called Go Collab. You'll be instructed on how to download this and everything like this. Back in my day, man, cell phones were bricks. I love the fact that Top Gun Options is like this now. I can trade from anywhere, man. The front seat of my fighter jet in Aspen, on a chairlift at the beach. I am not anchored to this desk. Real quick, Wiz, how much time does this take? Folks, I shot that sniper and went on with my day. Went to Costco, got my car clean. I don't sit here. I'm not a day trader. I don't sit here. I'd rather get my teeth drilled than sit here for 8 hours. Absolutely not. Couple hours a week, 2 hours in, 2 to 3 hours in the live trade briefs, and then reading after market hours. And folks, that's what I post in here, right? In the hunters right here, we have the intel and commentary thread. I post all my stuff in here. And I just heard this from a buddy over, whatever. All my intel goes up in here. Investors are waking up to some major news from China, So this is where you want to be. You're welcome, John. This is where you want to be, folks. If I had Top Gun options when I taught myself how to trade options as a young lieutenant in the Navy, Elon Musk would be working for me. This is what you need. If you're just starting out, learning about options, I am going to say, tonight you learned that you can make money as the market implodes. As people panic, you can print money. When this happened, I was in Boulder. My wife and I were in Boulder, going to the CU game, see my son, Jack. I loved waking up Friday and seeing the market implode. I'm like, that's awesome. My long-term bullish positions took it on the chin a little bit. Their long-term bullish position years into the future. They're going to recover. I printed money as people panicked. CNBC, oh my God, 2% pullback and new trade war. I'm like, bring it. Bring it. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to leave you with this. Markets take the escalator up and the elevator down. Everybody's a genius when the market at the April bottom until last week. Everybody's a genius. I'm printing. No, you're not. You know who the real geniuses are? The guys like me and Top Gun Options members who can print money as people panic and it goes down. Between us ladies, I prefer panic and I prefer a blood in the street market. Options premiums go through the roof. That's Gordon Gekko talking. That's Jordan Belfort and the Wolf of Wall Street. That's not me. I don't like my fellow Americans watching their 401ks become 201ks. I don't like people in pain. Now, channeling my Gordon Gekko from the movie Wall Street, if you want a friend, Wiz, get a dog. I'm here to make money. Well, guess what? I can help you do that too. Okay, so solo Amazon, $97 a month. It's the gateway drug to join. Or you know what? I'm ready to do a little full throttle. I think this guy knows what he's doing. I absolutely know what I'm doing. Okay. Any other? Sandra. Hi, Wiz. Solo Amazon. Oh, no, man. Oh, Sandra, let me know if I can be of service or help out in any way. I remember your name. Let us know. I'm here for you if we can help out in any way. Shoot me an email, Sandra. You have my email. If we can help out in any way, I'm here to be of service. I would love to help you and your husband any way we can. Let's end on a high note. God loves you, Sandra. God bless your husband. Let me know if we can be of service. All right, guys. I'm gonna go eat some food, watch the Panthers, and then eventually, when the replay renders, it will be up on this page. Okay. You can get your full throttle stuff on this page. If you want to do the solo Amazon, go grab the solo Amazon link. And if you're really bored right now and you're not doing anything, go watch the replay from when I placed the last Tredge that made 15 grand. Okay? Awesome, folks. Thank you for coming. Have a great rest of your day. Fights on. Namaste. And basi basi. Fights on. And I'll see you guys hopefully soon. Cheers. Whiz out.